Yeah, I believe you helped design the office. What was your thought behind
Sure.
this?
So the idea behind the office was to build a space that was, we themed it the Temple of Excellence of Hike. And the Temple of Excellence theme really encapsulates the Hike code, or our core values that we actually have at the company. We wanted this to be a place where people walked in and were really inspired, and a place where they would walk in and do the best work of their life every day. It's sort of like a university campus in some sense, and you won't really find too much Hike branding in the office. It's got a lot of bright colors, but the idea was to keep the office completely timeless, because culture and brand evolves, but the office should sort of support that over time. It's an air city right in the middle of Delhi in Gurgaon. It's about 60,000 square feet, can sit about 500 people, and we're pretty excited to move in.
Great. In January, you crossed 100 million users, very rapid rise from about 70 million in October. Is this an impact of Hike Direct, you feel? And how do you plan to explore this new feature further?
Hike Direct definitely played a large role in growing the user base, but I think Hike as a product as a whole is coming together very nicely. We see that not only in how many users use the product, but the fact that people are sending over 40 billion messages per month. People are spending 120 minutes per week in the application. So engagement is increasing every month. And that's a very positive sign that through Hike, we're solving more problems in people's lives. With respect to Hike Direct, there's a lot of potential, but we have to be careful in how we use the technology. It's important. The experience has to come out very, very nicely. And so you may see us expand into groups and hopefully beyond that over time.
Okay. Now, you've introduced many Indian-oriented features so far. Do you feel that you're losing out on your global audience by doing this?
Our focus has always been India. This market has 1.2 billion people. Sooner or later, they will come online. And it's a big market. Not many companies can boast of a home market of over 1 billion people. So most of our focus is on India, and there are a lot of local problems to be solved. We're just scratching the surface. Things like Hike Direct, Hike Offline that let people message each other when they don't have data. Things like news on Hike and cricket scores on Hike that let people access news and cricket scores in a very easy format, without having the need to download one more app. All these things are very local to India and potentially other emerging markets that have similar constraints to India. So, are we looking at India only? Definitely for now, but over time we'll definitely consider expanding to other emerging markets too.
Okay. Now, according to some reports, Facebook is blocking ads which lead to your website. So, are you doing anything to resolve this?
The teams are in touch. We're not very dependent on Facebook ads for our growth, but it was surprising to know that that was the case. It's something that the teams are talking through, and I'm sure we'll get to a resolution soon enough.
Is there any other such problems happening with your rapid growth? I mean, are you finding people are sort of blocking or interfering with?
Nobody else. Not specifically, of course.
Yeah. Okay. Now, recently you've also partnered with service providers for news, grocery, cab booking. How will all these impact Hike?
So our goal is to this year strike at least 4 to 5 of these partnerships. With the news, something we developed internally where we aggregate about 100 sources, we really paved the way for what microservices on Hike could look like. So one of our goals this year is to actually figure out what these microservices would look like if we were to partner with a third party. And so you'll see us hopefully launch 4 to 5 of these services later this year in India.
Okay, and how will this, you feel, affect your growth and bottom line?
Our main goal for the next couple of years is to keep improving the product to a point where we deeply understand what Hike means to people in their lives. And so our goal is to keep providing use cases or solve problems that people want in their lives, that people have in their lives. And we'll keep doing that for the next couple of years. And we really believe, as we talk about again and again, that our belief is that messaging will become the new operating system for mobile, especially in a market like India with such large constraints around data and devices. And we're seeing that happening, one step after the other. So it'll definitely help improve the product. Our goal is to, get deeper into people's lives and actually help them solve problems. And the entire platform play that we talk about will hopefully get us one step closer to that mission.
Okay, now you've recently got some advisors on your board from Silicon Valley. How do you think this will help you or impact your business?
Yeah, I've known folks like Aditya and Ruchi for a while. They're good friends of mine. But more importantly, Aditya today is the head of engineering at Dropbox, one of the most respected companies in the West Coast. Adam, I got to know last year. He's the founder and CEO of Quora, the biggest question and answer marketplace. He was also the first CTO of Facebook. And Matt Mullenweg heads WordPress. And, these guys have a lot of exposure in building very large, scalable products. And that experience and expertise and knowledge is extremely important for us as it sort of helps us buy time. We can pick up the phone and call these guys and say, guys, if we have this problem, what do you think? And it's very likely that these guys have solved these problems in their early avatars in different companies in their lives. So that exposure is quite vital to how we grow the company. And like I said, more importantly, it just helps us buy a lot of time and makes us avoid trying things that we would have tried that wouldn't have worked out in the first place.
The difficulty for Hike to make a mark in a market which is supposedly dominated by WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger, maybe even WeChat. What are your feelings on that?
Yeah, I think we don't worry about what analysts say. I think our goal is on ensuring that our user base is healthy and our numbers grow. In India, we are very big now. We have 100 million users in India itself. And we truly believe this, and we see it from our data, that there is space for 2 messaging apps in each country. The US has Messenger, iMessage, Snapchat, Kik, they have 4. Korea has Kakao Talk, and I forget the name of the second one. I think it's Patalk. China has QQ and WeChat, both having 500 million users each. And we really believe in a market like India, you will also have 2 messaging apps. One will be for simple photo sharing and texting, and we believe that could be something like WhatsApp. But we really believe there's an opportunity to build a messaging as a platform service as well. And today, Hike is the #1 application in that segment in the market. People sending 40 billion messages per month, 100 million users in the platform, just speaks to how highly engaged our user base is. And our focus is to ensure that the number becomes much, much bigger over time.
Okay, you're a young company. What do you see the differences between a typical corporate and a young startup?
I think the biggest difference is the risk is always obviously higher. So there's definitely a need to hustle a lot more in a startup like ours. Especially in the internet space, it's a very fast-paced environment. Things that you built last year may become obsolete this year. So things are changing a lot. I think at the end of the day, as a startup, we have to risk the company on the line every year. If we're not doing that, I think in the longer term, we will not succeed. And so the sort of appetite for risk, the appetite to move fast is definitely not larger in startups than in sort of big sort of corporate cultures. And more importantly, what we care about more is outcomes and results. The culture, is very informal. We care more about, people's intellect and brain power and the fact that they care about solving problems for the customer versus processes. And I think that's what sets apart startups like us from the bigger companies.
Okay, now lastly, you've seen a lot of people using, phone apps of WeChat and Hike. Do you foresee some kind of problem or fight with telcos in the near future? Because I'm hearing a lot of rumbling from them.
We've always had this clear statement that messaging players and telcos will always be in a win-win scenario, even though one party may not realize it. In the longer term, this is a win-win. If you were to ask people why they buy a data pack, they'll mention things like Hike, Facebook, and so on and so forth. At the end of the day, over-the-top companies like us, internet people, drive data pack purchases. And so actually it's a win-win scenario. I think at the end of the day, you'll always have new paradigms emerge, like the internet space, that will allow people to reinvent older business models. But the question is, what's the outcome? Messaging cannibalization has been very small. Voice cannibalization is non-existent. And more importantly, data revenue is growing. So overall, net, it's actually a win-win. So over time, if people do not realize this right now, that conclusion will come. And we can see that from our discussions too. The telcos are far more open to partnering with us today because they realize that folks like us and other internet companies in the space are actually ones driving data revenue for the entire ecosystem.